Good afternoon. All right, housekeeping. First things first, we need to pin a message. All right, then we're going to pin that there. Oh, you can actually set a... Oh, interesting. Start a goal. Huh. Okay. Martin, hey, good evening. Are you using also some kind of window manager on Windows? I am not using a window manager. Well, I should say the only window manager I'm using is there is a... What do you call it? I don't know. An application? There's an application out there called Windows Power Toys, or maybe it's Power Toys for Windows. I can't remember, or Microsoft Power Toys. And this comes with a utility called Fancy Zones, where you can set like custom layouts. But that's about as much window management as I do at the moment. Hey, Butterscotch, how are you? I've got I've got football practice. I've got to take my son to football practice in about an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm gonna probably hang out and stream till we have to go. So we got about an hour's worth of learning we can get in. Martin, that one is that one is it any good? Yeah, it's pretty good. So like, the way it works is basically so obviously Windows has like some Windows management to some extent where you can like take up quadrants or you can take up half the screen, right? You can kind of do window management in that way. It's not really a window manager like if you're coming from like a Linux world. But the thing with Fancy Zones is you can basically like apply different window layouts to different monitors and then essentially move your windows between those layouts. You know, if you want like, I don't know, if you want like half your screen to be two quadrants and the other half to be one whole, you can apply that layout. But if you want the other monitor to be like a 4 quadrant, you can apply that layout. I'm not I'm not a sophisticated enough Windows uh, tile management expert to really probably utilize it to its full capabilities. But no complaints here, Martin. Ramon, what are you doing? Ramon, we are, well, if you type what bro doing, exclamation point what bro doing, it'll tell you. But what I'm going to do is take a look at this library called Effect. So this has become pretty popular recently, especially in the tech Twitter space. And someone brought it up last night when we were streaming, and I thought, you know what? I've got about an hour here, so let's dive in and try to see if we can't grok it to some extent. Giuseppe? My dad used to beat me with this belt, but it was way worse when he became the WWE heavyweight champion. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty big belt if you're the heavyweight champion. I don't know how many people were actually whipped as children. I grew up in a house where the belt was used. It was different times. Cash Bandit. I have a question, Steve. Can I just learn Python program only to be a pen tester? Probably not. I mean, you're probably gonna need, if you're gonna do pen testing, You're probably going to need more knowledge than just how to write Python, if I had to guess. I've never worked as a pen tester, never been a pen tester, but it seems like the work that those people do involves knowing more than just how to write Python. Hello, Chemo. How are you? Hello, Ronnie. What is your favorite DreamWorks movie? How to Train a Dragon? I don't know. That's the first one that comes to mind. I think that's a DreamWorks movie. What a random question. Is that DreamWorks? Yeah, that's a DreamWorks movie. So we'll say How to Train a Dragon. I've watched that one quite a bit. I have 2 kids. I'm a 32-year-old dad of 2, so I have 2 kids. So I've seen a lot of DreamWorks movies. Martin, thanks for the explanation. I'm using Linux with Hyperland, but I'm stuck in Windows with work. I feel you, man. Well, then I think Fancy Zones might be the best thing. There is a oh, let me see if I can find it. Someone recommended it to me on stream. It's called like what is it called? Windows Tile Manager. God, I can't even remember. I wish I would have put this in like a notepad. Maybe it was Glaze. Glaze sounds right. Yeah, I think this is what it was. This screenshot seems familiar. I haven't used any of them though, so it's hard for me to like recommend any. But it seems like there's an ecosystem of people out there who are desperate for that type of a use case. Shredder. Hello, Shredder. How are you? Nice username. Cash Bandit. Thanks, Steve. Of course, man. I'm sorry that's not like a super great answer, but butterscotch glaze. Yes. So maybe it was butterscotch that recommended this glaze. Yeah, that seemed familiar to me. Is React.ts good? Like at all? Do you mean like is writing React in TypeScript good as opposed to writing React in JavaScript? I'm assuming. Is that what you're trying to ask? Either way, I think React is good. I think TypeScript is good. I think if you're going to write a relatively complex project, you might as well author it in TypeScript. And as far as a front end framework goes, React, I think, fits the bill just fine. I know people are going to say React's a library, it's not a framework, but I'm using React as like the term for like that's going to be like the way you author your app is using a React code or React library. Alex, do you watch? I do not. I don't even know who that is. I have no idea who that is. So I do not watch them. The answer is no. Hey, Carter, how are you? Carter, you got monetized. I did. I became a partner. I'm officially a YouTube partner. Which I think is funny. Like, they use this term partner. YouTube's a ginormous organization. I doubt they care about little old me. Sure. Remember me? We were friends from school, and we were both gays. Well, I'm not gay. If you are gay, that is totally fine. No judgment. I do not remember you, though. Everyone is entitled to the sexual orientation of their choosing. All right, so we're going to try to dive in and try to understand this library. This library, I've been seeing snippets of this library run around on Twitter, and it looks very interesting, so we're going to try to take a little bit of a run through it. Butterscotch, let's go. Hey, Alex. You thought that was funny? Yeah, man, I'm an old man here on the YouTubes, you know. I don't blush about that kind of stuff. All right, so why Effect? Programming is challenging. When we build libraries and apps, we look to many tools to handle the complexity and make our day-to-day more manageable. Effect is an ecosystem of tools. Okay, so it's not a library. It's an ecosystem of tools that help you build better apps and libraries. Carter, your first. Well, Carter, that is very kind of you, man. I'll tell you the same thing though I've told everybody who has donated to me so far is you guys work very hard for your money, I'm sure, and so my YouTube channel does not support me and my family, so please, you can please keep your dollars, your hard-earned dollars, and use them for something for yourself. But I do appreciate it if you if you want to give them to me, that's fine. But you definitely there's no expectation. I have a day job, but that's very kind of you, Carter. Brawl game, yo, I was you ROM mate in highest. Yeah, brawl game. I don't know about that, man. I guarantee you, you've never been to my high school. Carter, nah, I deserve it. You deserve it. Well, Carter, that's very kind of you, man. All right, so this is typical TypeScript. Without effect, we write code that assumes that a function is either successful or throws an exception. So based on the types, we have no idea that this function can throw an exception. We can really only find out by reading the code. Well, I mean, this is pretty common problem. Like in C#, this is the same way. In C#, they kind of try to get around this by like naming methods, right? Like a way you could get around this is you could write like divide or throw, right? Divide and throw or something, divide or throw. But this is a pretty common problem, I agree. So how do they fix it? Martin, that's very kind of you too, Martin, to drop a super chat, man. Again, guys, you not that is not expected at all. But very kind of you. Emmanuel, make an exception. What do you mean, Emmanuel? Carter, make sure to remember me when you is famous. I don't think I'm getting famous. But if I do get famous, for sure. Brawl game. You help me code my robot. Why do you replace all your replace some of your E's with A's? Like if you're gonna replace your E's with A's, just be consistent. So you should have typed you help me to code my robot. That's what you should have typed. This is what you should have typed. Okay, while Effect is a vast ecosystem of many different tools, if it had to be reduced down to one idea, it would be of the following. Effect's major unique insight is that we can use the type system to track errors in context, not only success values, as shown in the divide example. Okay, this is interesting. Let me make this a little bigger, because I don't know if you guys can all read this, so I'm going to make this a little bigger. So this is kind of interesting. So you type your... Also, did anybody notice? This is so cool. Their editor has IntelliSense. That's really cool. I wonder how they did that. I wonder what they're using for their editor. I wonder if this is like CodeMe or what this is. Oh, they have a playground. Yeah, that's very cool. Oh, it's even got a terminal. Dude, this is legit. These guys know what they're doing. Huh? To hinder, don't help people against E. We're are we waging a war against the E? Okay, so essentially, the one thing I'll say here is if you're gonna use Effect, what I'm gathering is if you're gonna use Effect to build your application, you are taking a hard dependency on Effect. It's like taking a dependency on Vue or taking a dependency on Express, right? That it's going to be your framework for doing stuff. Okay, so what does this do? So we do effect dot effect. and we give it 3 different types. And so the first type tells you that it produces a value of type number. The second type says that it can fail with this type of an error. And then the third type expresses if it has dependencies. Oh, that's really interesting. That's super interesting. Okay, so we don't reinvent the wheel. The application code in TypeScript often solves the same problems over and over again. Solving practical problems. Effect is heavily inspired by great work done in other languages like Scala and Haskell. I don't know either of those languages. Scala. Anybody here know Scala or Haskell? What does Scala code look like? Scala code example. Okay. That's not super helpful, but okay. What is Haskell? That's very obscure looking. Okay. Any effect. Okay, so they're so they're taking inspiration from these other languages. I think Scala and Haskell are kind of functional by nature. This whole idea of having a type this whole idea of returning a type that has a value and an error, right? This is very functional in nature. This is kind of interesting, though. I've never seen anyone introduce the idea of trying to encapsulate dependencies in the return type. That's kind of interesting. Brawl game. I don't know what you're trying to do here, Brawl game, but I don't know if I'm the right place for you to hang out. Hossy Bear, I don't know what you're talking about. Butterscotch. At some point in my web dev journey, I had an idea to build a web-based code editor where you can import Git repositories or create new ones, but soon Google's Project ID got announced, and now they scrapped it for Firebase Studio. Oh, they already scrapped IDX? Wow, that was quick. That was super short-lived project, but that is totally Google, right? Google does that all the time. I guess you can afford to do that when you have Google's money, right? You can come up with all kinds of crazy ideas, and if you change your mind, you just throw it away. Hossy Bear, like, I mean the allegations. Were you not caught? I have no idea what you're talking about, Hossy Bear. I have no idea, man. I feel like lately I'm kind of ending up on like a trollish YouTube space. Like Butterscotch is here, and you're familiar, Butterscotch, and I'm glad you're here. But there's been some odd people like Hossy Bear and Brawl Game showing up in my streams lately. And that hasn't been the case for like the last 3 or 4 months. So I don't know if somehow we just ended up in like a troll pocket of YouTube for a little bit. They'll figure it out though. They'll get the hint and get out of here. Hossy Bear, I'm sorry, I'm trolling. Yeah, I don't know what you're trying to accomplish, man. If you're looking for a reaction, probably not the best stream. You might want to go try to scroll on and find somebody else. Butterscotch, yeah, classic Google move, but Project IDX was real good. Yeah, I signed up for their like before it was even available for the public, and then I was super excited when I got access to it. There wasn't anything super groundbreaking about it though. Like it was a cool product, but it didn't like change anybody's workflow, you know. Butterscotch, the YouTube community is full of trolls. Yeah, and which is fine. I mean, people live and let live, right? If that's what you enjoy doing, go for it. Hossy Bear, I'm bored and I don't have a job. Well, that sucks, man. I mean, I guess you could try to go get a job instead of just sitting around being bored. that would be one other solution. But like I said, if you want to spend your time doing that, that's fine. It's your life. It's just we're not gonna put much stock in it here. JM, what's your typical stack? So if someone was to come to me today and was to ask me to build some sort of web app, 9 times out of 10, I would probably build. I mean, it would depend, but 9 times out of 10, I'm probably going to have like a client server architecture. The client is probably going to be written in Vue, and it's just going to be a SPA, and the backend is going to be written in .NET, and it's going to be a minimal API. That's probably like 9 times out of 10 what I'll do. If I don't need a lot of rich client-side interactivity, then I might just try to do like a Blazor server app. Because I find myself to be pretty productive with just a Blazor server app. Can spin things up and work in that environment pretty quick. But for the most part, I build things either with TypeScript or C#. If I'm building it in TypeScript, if I'm building a backend in TypeScript, I'm probably going to use Hano. If I'm building a front end in TypeScript, I'm probably going to use Vue. React is good too. Lately I've been using Vue. Martin, you just started streaming also on Twitch. So I was streaming on Twitch and YouTube. So I just started. So like at the end of 2024, the last 2 years I've done Advent of Code. And so at the end of 2024, while I was doing Advent of Code, I started streaming while I was doing Advent of Code just for fun. And I was streaming to YouTube and Twitch. And I stopped streaming to Twitch because Twitch was like a graveyard. There was no one over there. There was no chat, no interaction. So I just stopped. And I started streaming to YouTube and TikTok. That's where the vertical format came from, because I was streaming on YouTube and TikTok, so I was streaming vertical. But the streams on TikTok were also kind of dead. There was no interaction. So I stopped streaming to TikTok, and now I just stream on YouTube. So that's it for now. Hossy Bear, I can't. I live in Canada. It's too difficult. I'd rather just troll. Hey, man. You live your life, Hossy Bear. Do your thing. Butterscotch. I was excited about their online Android emulator, which was great for mobile app developers. Well, I completely missed that component of Project IDX. And that's probably because I don't do mobile app development. Hey, what's up, Dismal? Good to see you again. JM, what database? Mongo? Mongo's good. Mongo or SQLite or Postgres. Like if I'm gonna use SQL, probably SQLite or Postgres, right? If I can get away with just using a SQLite database, I'll just use a SQLite database. If I need it to be distributed, then Postgres. I think 9 times out of 10, I only use Mongo if like the data is really simple and it can all be kind of stored together. Because I find what happens a lot of times when people use Mongo as the data store for a lot of applications is a lot of times they just end up recreating a relational database in a NoSQL database a lot of times. So yeah, it depends. But Mongo, Postgres, or SQLite for a database. Any of those is fine. I mean, most of the time, all those databases, I'm going to be interacting with them through some sort of ORM. If I'm in C#, it's probably going to be Entity Framework or the MongoDB driver. If I'm in TypeScript, it's going to be Prisma or Sequelize or what's another one I've used before? Mongoose, if I'm working with Mongo in TypeScript. So that's 9 times out of 10. And you can kind of look on my GitHub, right? My GitHub kind of is a good representation of the things I like to use. Farhan. Hello, Farhan. Which has better revenue, Twitch or YouTube? I don't know. So Twitch, I've never done anything on Twitch where it's made money. I've had YouTube channels for a really long time. Like this YouTube channel I've had for 10 years. I have another fitness YouTube channel that I've had for probably 12 or 14 years. And so I was making content back before like you had to be a YouTube partner to be monetized. And I didn't make very much money. Like I think I have like $40 sitting in my AdSense account that you have to get to $100 to get paid out. So that kind of tells you like I don't know if I can really answer that question because I don't support myself from my YouTube channel, right? I've got a day job. Martin, nice. It's chill. Well, I appreciate that, man. That's kind of the vibes we're going for. We're trying to go for like hang out, learn, build, talk code, drink some coffee. Reshta said hi. Hello, Reshta. How are you? JM, good stream. Sup. Well, we appreciate that, JM. I need to actually set up some sort of alert so we can see when people sub. That would be nice. Give some props to those people who show support. Butterscotch. Twitch is good in terms of revenue once you get a good audience. Yeah, but that seems to be the issue on Twitch is there's no discoverability. So it almost seems like you have to build your audience off Twitch and then bring them to Twitch, which is kind of a big lift for small new creators. All right, let's set up our first Effect app, shouldn't we? Let's do it. All right, what was the command? Create Effect app latest. I do like TypeScript. I do like C#. I think it's something to be said that the two languages I like the most come from the same man. They both are products of Anders Hallsberg's brain, which I think is kind of interesting. What is their project name? Oh, let's just do Effect app. A template project suitable for package or application. An example project demonstrate. I think we should do the example. What project should we use? An HTTP server application with authentication. Oh, that's very applicable to what I do. Okay, so we need to cd into Effect app. And then do we need to npm install? I guess I also need to update npm on my machine. He says, where is your neck? It's right here, I promise. I promise I have one. It's just I think the angle of my camera makes it look like I don't have one, but I promise I do. Hello, Sanai. Hello, Ayush. Sanai, hey, here, yo, say good luck. Good luck, it's Sanai. Hope you're doing well, man. Thanks for stopping by. Oh, I did also. I had some feedback. I don't know if anybody here was on my stream last night, but uh-oh, what happened? Something broke. Operation not permitted. Oh, that's weird. The work has been done and this beta branch won't be included in future versions. Huh. Oh, they're using OpenTelemetry. I saw an OpenTelemetry package in there. Love me some OpenTelemetry. Oh, I guess I could have done the manual setup. Oh, maybe I should have done the manual setup. Maybe that would have been better learnings. Okay, npm install again. Let's see if that's errors again. Maybe I need to run this in an elevated shell with admin permissions or something. Sine, hey, believe in yourself. Hey, I do, man. I do believe in myself. But I appreciate you sending some good vibes. Martin permissions. It must be. It kind of looked, that error kind of looked like it was trying to remove stuff. So let's try doing it in an elevated. Let's see, terminal. Oh goodness. We're running as an administrator. It's about ready to get wild. Oh, this is the wrong. That's the wrong repo. Alright, let's see if this works. Also, if you just are joining me, you just hop into the stream. I've got probably 30, 45 minutes left on the stream. I gotta take my oldest son to football practice about 5:30, and it's 4:40 my time. Okay, so what's... Oh, am I on a Node version that's too old, too new? Okay, let's try to go to I think I'm on the latest version of Node. So let's try to do Node, not Node, MVM, which I don't know if you guys know about Node Version Manager. Node Version Manager is awesome. MVM use LTS. NVM LS. Okay, let's do NVM install LTS. Could not find. Yeah, it's there. It was referencing VS 2017, wasn't it? That was weird. I don't know what this Effect app is doing, but let's see. NVM use LTS. Okay, let's give this another try. That would be a very odd dependency. You need Visual Studio to work with Effect. There we go. Yep, I think it was because I was on too new of a version of Node. Let's see. Should we do npm audit fix? All right, and then let's open this sucker up. We'll do a little exploration. Why did this break? Oh, this happens sometimes with NeoVim, and I don't know why, but I have this plugin installed for GitHub themes, and for whatever reason, every so often I have to uninstall the lazy plugin and reinstall it. So, look, if I uninstall this and then reinstall it, now that error goes away, and I can use my theme that I had selected. So I don't know what that was about. Okay, let's look at some dependencies here. Let's see, we got TypeScript, we have TXX. I'm guessing we use that as the... Okay, we use that in dev. Let's see, we're loading the env file with the env file flag. We have prettier. What's tsup? Do anybody know what that is? Tsup? Tsup. Butterscotch used Capuchin. That's what Typecraft used. That's actually what I started using, was Capuchin, and then I switched back to a GitHub theme because I kind of like GitHub's. What is it? Their dark mode, but it's like their dimmed dark mode. Tsup is a zero configuration bundler designed for TypeScript and JavaScript libraries. Huh? I've never heard of that bundler. That's new to me. Then we have Effect language service. Okay, interesting. They have their own language service. They have a plugin for Vitess. That's cool. We have some node types. Oh, they have a bunch. So Effect really is an ecosystem. So if you're going to be in the Effect ecosystem, you're going to be in it. So they've got stuff to work with SQL. They obviously have some sort of compatibility layer for Node. They have some sort of compatibility layer for OpenTelemetry, which is wonderful. What was that sound about? I don't know what that sound was about. Let's see, they got ESLint, that's normal, okay. Yeah, okay, so we got quite a few dependencies here. So this is an HTTP server, is what this application is. So let's go look at the entry point, main.ts. Huh. Wow, this is completely different than I've never seen an app look like this before. Sinai, love your hair looks great. Well, thank you, Sinai. I spent all of 5 minutes on it. I hope you become big. I don't know. I don't know if we want to become big, but I do have fun making content on YouTube. Failed to load plugin at effect. I'm guessing there's probably some NeoVim configuration that I need to do to make effect play nicely with everything. Okay, so in any event, we have this pipe keyword, which I think is important to the effect world. We have a layer, which is coming from effect, so that must be important. And then we have some sort of compatibility thing for node runtime. That must make the effect libraries play nice with Node out of the box. It's kind of interesting naming conventions. I don't see people use see people use what would we call this? We'd call this Pascal case. I don't see people use Pascal case very much in the TypeScript land. We have some migrations here. This must be part of their SQL. Yeah. So they'll actually do code first migrations, which is nice. The entity framework does that for you in .NET world. Okay. And then there looks like there's a little bit of a convention here. I'm going to go back and read the effect docs, but I'm just doing some exploration. So it looks like they have a little bit of convention here. So the repo obviously is probably a repository implementation. Very interesting. Effect.service takes a type of group's repo. You give it a name, I'm guessing. This is some sort of keyed service type of setup, maybe. Interesting. Yeah, this is a very interesting take that I've seen on TypeScript. I don't see people using classes a lot anymore. A lot of people want to go more of like a functional style approach to building TypeScript stuff. So this is very interesting. Yeah, so these all inherit from like base classes that Effect provides, right? So this is the HTTP API group. What does this return? This is fascinating. This is a very interesting library. I've not seen anything like this before in my TypeScript experience. And then this is an HTTP API builder. So this is like function call that returns something. And this is so these just create handlers. This is really weird. It looks kind of like TypeScript code, but it also kind of looks like Go code. This is very interesting. There's also there's like a mixture of paradigms. There's definitely like an object-oriented paradigm happening, but then there's also some like functional paradigm happening. I don't know. Does anybody have? I'm interested to see if anybody in chat has experience with Effect. Butterscotch, you should turn on word wrapping. Word wrapping makes it confused. I have a hard time with word wrapping. I get very turned around and confused. Mohammed, word of advice: go to docs first. Yeah, I am going to go back to the docs, but I thought I would take a little stroll through this sample application. And let's look at the tests. So they do have tests, which I think is wonderful. I don't think enough people put enough emphasis on like how do you do testing in this type of a framework. So this is cool that they show you how to do it. And I'm guessing they have some sort of, yes, they have like a plugin for Vitest because they're bringing in their own describe and it functions. Although I will admit, this seems uglier than sin. Mohammed, that's API group generates open API automatically. Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Programmatic API docs is a win. Martin, see you next stream. Have fun later. See you, Martin. Thanks for hanging out, man. Muhammad, I had terrible time when I started discovering without going to the docks. Okay, we're definitely going to go back to the docks. I figured I'd just take a little stroll through. Muhammad, that's new. The the Vitesse plugin is new for Effect. Is that what you mean? This is kind of ugly. I don't know how I feel about all this. Like looking at this, I'm not sure this is entirely readable to me, but I don't know if that's a me problem or a them problem. It's probably a me problem, just because I don't know anything about this Effect world. But man, look at all that indentation. What is that? That's how many levels of indentation is that? One, two, one, two. That's three. Now I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's some deep nesting happening here. Fair enough. Okay. So this is what effect code looks like, though, which is fine. I'm not throwing any shade. Okay. All right, back to the docks. Yep. Back to the docks. All right, so we've got this installed. These just going through the different run times. That's fine. Let's see, create effect app. This is what we did just now. Oh, that's cool. So you can decide if you want to include things. ESLint. You can decide if you want to include Nix support. That's cool. It's talking about how you get access to stuff in the effect library. In the effect ecosystem, libraries often expose functions rather than methods. This design choice is important for two key reasons: tree shakeability and extensibility. As you start your adventure with Effect, you don't need to dive into every function in the Effect package right away. Instead, focus on some commonly used functions that will provide a solid foundation for your journey into the Effect world. I guess, Mohammed, it sounds like you're familiar with Effect. What's your take on it? Like, do you think it's beneficial for how you build applications? Yeah, have you enjoyed it? Gamma Gaming. I want to start coding how and where to. Yeah, so what Butterscotch just put in the chat, if you type !learn to code, Nightbot will hook you up with a free, with a link, not a free, but a link to a free curriculum that's created by some folks at an organization called Free Code Camp. That's where I would start if you're new to coding, for sure. Hello, Soundwave. How are you? Have to go in a few moments, but I just wanted to tell you I started making a game in Roblox. That's awesome, man. Well, I hope you're having a blast. I hope you're enjoying it. Ragu rocks. Yo, what's up, homie? How are you, man? Good to see you again. Thank you for being so inspiring. Bye now. Best luck. Well, I don't know if I'm inspiring, but if I if I got you to take action on building a game, that's very cool, and I hope you're having a lot of fun. Mohammed, P.S. If you have me, maybe I can join you in your next stream. I might share some knowledge. Yes, I really enjoyed it, especially for data pipelines. Oh, very cool. I created an Excel add-in with it. That is cool. Yeah, for sure, man. I would love for you to hang out in our streams and help us figure out how the heck this whole thing works. This is the first time I've looked at it. I saw it I saw a bunch of code snippets of it on Twitter, and then someone yesterday in our stream brought it up. So I was like, yeah, I've got an hour here before I gotta run to football practice, so thought I would dive in and take a look. Ragu. How can I add moving animations in my website, like car moving, truck moving? Are you Ragu Rocks? Are you talking about like 3D animations? Like, are you talking about like this? Let me see if I can find this. There's a developer who has a portfolio site. Um, let's see. I think it's here. It's like the very first one, or no, third one on this list. Are you talking about something like this? Is this more than what you're thinking, or is this what you're thinking? Like you want like a 3D animation type of thing? This is probably a little bit further than what you're probably thinking. Like this allows you to control a truck on a website, but are you just thinking of like some really high fluting fanciful design where you can animate things around? Ragurox, yes, bro. Well, you might check out a library called 3D.js. You might also check out a library called, what was it called? Is it called Animate? Anime.js. It just came out. Yeah, Anime.js. You might check out this library. This looked like a pretty cool library. It's, I think, newer, or there's a new version of it that just came out. You might check out this library. I haven't done a lot with like very complex 3D animations myself, so I would be sort of blind leading the blind a little bit there. But I know there are technologies out there that would let you do that kind of stuff. Butterscotch, what is this library about? From what I gather, and I'm brand new Butterscotch, so I'm not the best ambassador for it. But from what I gather, is it's a very opinionated way to build applications in TypeScript, and it provides you sort of a very opinionated way to address a lot of common problems that are encountered when you're building applications. So at this point, that's my high level takeaway. Rocks. Like currently I'm building a website for a logistics company, so I was thinking to add some animations. Well, I mean, if you're just thinking like simple 2D animations, you can probably just get away with CSS. You know, but if you're wanting to do things that are more complex and that are more 3D, then yeah, you might have to look at some JavaScript libraries. Let's take the first step and explore the fundamental concepts of the effect type. The effect type is an immutable description of a workflow or operation that is lazily executed. This means that when you create an effect, it doesn't run immediately, but instead defines a program that can succeed, fail, or require some additional context to complete. Interesting. When you create an effect, it doesn't run immediately. Okay, so this type indicates that an effect succeeds and returns a value of success, fails with an error type of error. Obviously this is the results pattern, right? This is a very clear opinionated implementation built around this idea of a result. And then they also added in this third layer, which is basically we're giving you context about what the program requires or what dependencies it has. Conceptually, you can think of effect as an effectful version of the following function type. Take some context, which has requirements, and then can return an error or a success. So here's a discriminated, right, like a union type. It can be an error, it can be a success. You'll have to deal with both cases. Okay. However, effects are not actually functions. They model synchronous, asynchronous, concurrent, and resourceful computations. So effects are not actually functions. So what are they? They're just types. Effect values are immutable, and every function in the effect library produces a new effect value. It's just effects all the way down. It's like Russian nesting dolls, just effect within an effect within an effect within an effect. Modeling interactions. These values do not perform any actions themselves. They simply model or describe effectful interactions. Okay. An effect can be executed by the effect runtime system. Oh, so they have a whole runtime system. Wow, this is way more than like a library. This is very much this is like a framework. This is like yeah, this is like understanding minimal APIs in .NET or something. Actually, this is probably more like understanding the hosting model in .NET. Mohammed, dude, please unblur your background. I want to see the dog. Well, I can't. The blur is coming from my camera. That's where the blur is coming from. So there you go. He's back there. This is where he likes to hang out when I stream. He always gets kind of. It's almost like he gets worked up by the fact that I'm sitting in the room talking to myself. It's almost like he gets anxious, so he always goes to his bed and hangs out. Muhammad, monads, they just don't want to say. Think of it as a description of a program or a blueprint. Yeah, so you're basically modeling your program through through this effect type. But it's a whole thing. I mean, this is a whole thing. Let's see, extracting inferred types. By using the utility types, effect.success, effect. Does anybody know who is behind this? So who is behind Effect? Is this an open source project? Like, is this a company? Who is this? Because this is a pretty hard lock-in. Like, you're buying into, like, you're not just buying into TypeScript. You're buying into Effect. Effectful Technologies. Who are they? It is MIT licensed, so I think that's a good sign. Effectful Technologies. Okay, so what do they make? How do they make their money? The founding team: Tim Smart, Conti, Maxwell Brown. Oh no, these are founding engineers. So who's the here we go. This guy, founder and CEO. I'm getting kind of distracted from learning the library, but I'm kind of interested because this is way more of a rabbit hole than I thought it was going to be. What's this guy's history? Let's see, he's from the UK. Well, yeah, it looks like he has a long history of. Looks like he has a long history. It looks like maybe startup space or something. Chief Technology Officer, CTO. Yeah. So I'm guessing all this came out of all his experiences probably building these startups or helping these startups. So, but how do they make money? That's what I'm curious about. You think this is Michael is the founder of the whole Effectful is just a consultation company. So interesting. So that's how they make money. Like they come in and teach you how to use Effect. Like Effect is so complex that you need our consultation. I'm not saying they're doing something shady. I'm just saying that's how they make money, right? It's like, oh, you're using Effect now? Well, hire our consulting company to come in and help you implement it. Joff, are you using VS Code? I do use VS Code sometimes. Right now I'm using NeoVim is what I have open right now. But I go back and forth. NeoVim, VS Code. I use them both kind of. Depends on the day. Bot Life Gamer. Is this GML? I don't know what you mean, Bot Life Gamer. The help companies use Effect. What's the help companies? They created the company after they created Effect. So is that a good thing or a bad thing? Does that mean we created a technology that's so complicated you need consultants to implement it? I'm 100%. I'm not trying to throw shade at them. 100% certain that's not what they're doing. I just think it's funny when you think about that. Chaz, why NeoVim over VS Code? For the majority of my time building and developing over the last 4 or 5 years, I've always used VS Code. with a little bit of Visual Studio thrown in there and a little bit of Rider thrown in there. But for like the last year and a half, I've been watching the Primeagen a lot on stream work with NeoVim, and every time I see him, I always think, man, that looks like so much fun. Like to be able to edit things in that way and to be that good on your keyboard. So at the beginning of this year, I watched a series called NeoVim for Noobs here on YouTube. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to set up NeoVim as an alternative to VS Code. So, not really a good reason, except for like, I just wanted to take a little fun side adventure. Jaff, thanks. Of course, man. I don't know what I did, but... Oh, I guess I answered your question. Yeah. Butterscotch, use Effect, but why? My life is good. Mohammed, in my opinion, it's a good thing. Yeah, fair enough. Well, at least there's people out there that can support you if you do take it on and put it in a production setting. And if you get in over your head, you can call in reinforcements. I think that Butterscotch, I think the selling point about Effect, though, is it just seems like it's opinionated and it solves a lot of common problems, right? So it seems like, you know, especially in the TypeScript and JavaScript world where there's nothing like Ruby on Rails for JavaScript, right? So this seems like they're trying to help solve that by just having an ecosystem of like, hey, if you want all these common problems that you have to solve when you're building complex applications, just use our ecosystem of tools and it's already done for you. I have no idea how to say your username. I'm gonna call you 9. You said, what's your opinion on Vue? I think Vue is great. Vue is actually the front end, I guess, the JavaScript front end framework that I use the most in the last year or so. But that doesn't mean I think it's better than anything else. It's just, I think it's good. I think React's good. I haven't really used Angular before, so I can't really speak to Angular. I did a little bit of dabbling into Svelte, but I've never really built anything complex with Svelte. So I'm just, as an individual, I'm not really a big like editor war, framework war person. I think use the technologies that you want to use and let other people use the stuff they want to use and move on with your life. Chaz, what was the guy's name? So the Primeagen is who I usually watch stream, and he works with NeoVim quite a bit. But the course that I watched is from a gentleman on YouTube. His username is Typecraft. Let's see, Typecraft. This guy. He's got a lot of great content, but particularly this playlist right here, NeoVim for Noobs. That was the playlist I watched and went through to sort of get my initial NeoVim configuration set up. And it was also the course that kind of showed me that you can really build NeoVim out to sort of be a complete solution, right? Like you can put a debugger into NeoVim. You can wire up a test runner or a test explorer in NeoVim. So if you're considering taking the leap, you might give this a watch and see if it excites you. And you should subscribe to Typecraft, which I am. I'm just not a member, I guess. He's pretty good. Ruben, would you also recommend reading the myths section in the Effect docs? Oh, would also recommend. Okay, for sure. I can definitely check that out. I don't think I've made it to that far. I'm pretty. I thought the Effect rabbit hole was like this deep, and I'm coming to find out it may not have a bottom. So I got a long ways to go. Mohammed, it's not another vendor lock-in. Are you sure, Mohammed? It definitely seems like it. Like if you authored your whole code in Effect, it seems like it would be a pretty significant lift if you wanted to migrate away from it. Right? That's just my general take so far is that it would be a pretty big lift if you modeled your whole application using Effect and then you decided I no longer want to use Effect. Granted, this is a noob's take, but that's it seems like you are definitely taking a hard dependency on it. Butterscotch, won't it add more complexity to the code base? Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to speak too generally on these things. I'm just now finding out what the effect type is, so I'm pretty early on in this process. Chaz, why not svelte greater than Vue? Uh, I just I don't know, just because I haven't gotten to doing much with svelte. Yeah, no good explanation. Chaz, there are no bystanders in the JavaScript framework war. I'm Switzerland. I'm Switzerland in the JavaScript framework war. I just stand by and watch you all tear each other to pieces. Trendy web design. He's just like me for real. Yeah, like I say, man, use the tech you want to use. What the hell? Nice username. It's a great username. Mohammed, well, you might not need it, but there's good interoperability. Well, that's good to know. 9. I needed good SEO results, thus SSR, thus Nuxt, thus Vue. Yeah, choose the best good enough tool for your requirements. Yeah, SSR is cool. It's cool that SSR is becoming a thing again. So the place where I work, it's not it doesn't have a modern tech stack. So most of our software is server side rendered. So that's just how I'm used to how soft websites and web apps are built. I know that's not modern, but like it's cool that people are rediscovering the value of being able to do server side rendering. I mean, there's definitely a huge plus to having client side rendering too, right? But it's cool that people are rediscovering the value of being able to just send HTML up to the browser. Nate Bands, first time watching. I've been learning Java at university. What do you code in? So 9 times out of 10, if you tune into a stream or if you watch any of my content, it's going to be around TypeScript or C#. That's typically the languages I use. I know a little bit of Python. Well, I shouldn't say a little bit. I can write Python. I just don't write it a lot. It's not my favorite language. What else? I've been trying to learn Go. That is going like semi-well. I just haven't really applied myself well enough. Spent enough time with it. But I have been trying to learn it. But primarily C# and TypeScript. Chaz, amazing channel. We'll be back. Well, thanks, Chaz. Thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate you having you. 9. As a dev, be water, my friend. I think you would agree. Yes, it's kind of fascinating because, or at least I think it's kind of fascinating from a development or engineering standpoint, is you really do have to be agnostic, right? You need to be able to learn and adapt to the changing landscape. But there is definitely something to be said about the fact that you want to go deep enough with a given tech stack or given technology that you're productive in it, right? And you have to be willing to acknowledge the fact that if you're a super productive .NET developer, if someone was to pick you up and plug you into a project that was using Go, while I guarantee you could figure it out and you could get up to speed, you would not be near as productive, right? Just by the nature of the fact that you're going from a tech stack and a technology you're familiar with to one you're not. So it's this weird thing where you have to hold both things in your head at the same time, where like you have to be agnostic about things. You have to be willing to learn new things and pick up and move, but you also need to take the time to get very productive in a particular piece of technology or in a particular tech stack. Otherwise, you're not really useful to anybody. So it's a really weird really weird situation. Chaz, will report back how my Svelte journey goes. I'm sure this time will be different for my last 6 languages and 14 frameworks, lol. Well, that's half the fun, is going on adventures. Different languages, different frameworks. That's half the fun. Okay, so here we are. We're down here. Now we're going to talk about how we infer types. Okay, so we can use effect. Okay, guys, I understand I'm probably picking, but effect.effect.error. That's, yeah, that's quite the syntax. I'm sure there's a good reason for why it has to be that way, but it's kind of funny. Okay, so the effect.effect, right? This is what you're going to return, or this is what your program returns when it succeeds. This is what it returns when it fails. And then this is the dependencies it has. And that's how you model your whole program. And then if you need to basically reverse engineer these types, then you can use these helper utilities. I understand. Okay, why not throw errors? In traditional programming, when an error occurs, it's often handled by throwing an exception. We talked about this last night about using errors and exceptions for control flow. And right now that is not popular at all. And so Effect.ts is a nice segue on that topic because they do not believe in throwing errors for control flow. Butterscotch, naming things is hard. Well, if you were here last night, yes, naming things is very hard, and I suck at it myself, so I really shouldn't be pointing fingers. P3K, it's me, P3K. P3K, I've tried understanding effect, but brah, it's nor effective. Fair enough. Well, we're gonna give it our best shot. I don't know how far we're gonna go down the rabbit hole or how much we're gonna buy in, but I definitely want to have some understanding of what people are talking about, you know. So I think it's worth taking an hour of my afternoon to try to at least get some familiarity. Throwing errors can be problematic. The type signatures of functions do not indicate that they can throw exceptions, making it difficult to reason about potential errors. So this is something people keep bringing up, that like functions themselves don't necessarily say they throw errors. But I'm curious to hear your guys' opinion. In most applications, there is some sort of global error handler, right? If you're building React, there is some sort of global error boundary. If you're building API in .NET, there's probably some type of global exception handler that always returns a 500 response. So I guess it is a problem, but it's one of those things that, like, if you are using errors for control flow, or if the language you're working with was designed around using exceptions and errors for control flow, 9 times out of 10, it's not really a problem, because somewhere at the top of your stack, there's a try-catch in some shape or form. So I know, like, I see the problem, but at the same time, like, is it really a problem? I don't know. Hot take, I guess. Hello, Sandeep. How are you? I am not a hacker. I do not have the skills nor the ability to be a hacker. Disclaimer, there's a lot of boilerplate, so get ready with your new snippets. Fair enough. Nothing like some boilerplate to make everybody happy. That's why we have LLMs now, to take care of all the boilerplate. Butterscotch, Go supremacy. Yeah, you know what, though? Here's what I will say, though. When you're writing Go code, right, you end up with a lot of this in your code. And I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I just want to pop into a file here. Whenever you start writing code that uses the results pattern or uses monads or discriminated unions or whatever the heck you want to call it, is that going to error every time? Okay, that's a problem. Let me open up, let me just open up the TypeScript playground real quick. This is something that I've kind of, because I've used the results pattern a couple times in C#, and like I said, I tried learning some Go. But here's the thing with the results pattern. You end up with a lot of code like this, where it's like var result sum op, right? Then you have to come down here and you say if result dot succeed. Well, actually, it's probably more like result dot fail, right? In most cases, do something, and then proceed on with your code, right? And then this is repeated again and again and again and again, and so you end up with just this never-ending, like, where does the madness stop? So I don't know if I'm a fan of using that result. I don't know. I guess I don't know how I feel about everything returning a result to me. And maybe there's some paradigm that people use to solve this. Maybe Effect has a paradigm to solve this type of code. But this, every time I've worked with this idea of discriminated unions or returning a value that represents a failure or a success, I always end up with something that looks like this. And then I'm like, man, that looks really noisy. It's not really wrong. It just looks noisy. Abdul, hello, Abdul. Treating errors as values is so good. I mean, I guess. I don't know. I'm conflicted. I'm horribly conflicted on that, Butterscotch. Like, I see the good, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know about that. Ginger whiskey. Hey, I hope you're having a great day. I posted a vid 2 days ago. I would love if you were to check it out and give your honest opinion. You want me to give you my opinion about singing and playing the ukulele? I don't think I'm the best guy to do that. but good luck with the singing and ukulele content. I hope it goes well. Sandeep, what you teaching, bro? I like coding. I'm not trying to teach anything. That's not at all about what my stream or my channel is about. I'm purely, all the content I make is basically, here's what I'm working on, here's what I'm learning, and here's what I've learned. Not necessarily, though, trying to be the next pirate software or the next web dev simplified or whatever. I'm definitely not trying to elevate myself as a teacher. I'm very much learning myself. Muhammad, the neatness about Effect is that you can define your error types. Okay. The type system in it is actually amazing, especially with pattern matching. I sound like a fanboy here. Well, pattern matching is very nice. That is a very nice language feature. Oh, also, I think I've run out of time, so we're just gonna have to bookmark this. Where are we? Okay, we're on why not throw errors, and I think we have so much more to do and to understand Effect. So I don't know how much more we're gonna do this on stream, but I definitely want to keep exploring this. I need to get my shoes on though, because I've got to take my oldest son to football practice. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me for a short amount of time this afternoon. I know this stream was not as long as some of the others, but I appreciate you keeping me company. I hope you guys have had a good Thursday. If it's already Friday for you, you've had a good Friday. And if I don't see you again, I hope your week ends well. Don't start with pirate software, dude. Sandeep smiles. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm just trying to make content around what I'm learning. All right, guys. Bye, Butterscotch. Have a good night. Bye, Muhammad. Thanks for hanging out with us. Sane. See you later, Sane. I think I'm saying your username right. Could be wrong, but hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Thanks for hanging out with me while I tried to learn a little bit about Effect. And I'll see you in the next one. All right. Bye.